The restaurant industry has always been so behind the curve, and a lot of that I attributed to the gorillas in the industry, like held the innovation back by not allowing people to enter this space and innovate on top of their platform.
Consolidation of tech is going to happen. We're starting to see the early days of it now, whether it's a point of sale plus. The long play here is scalability and ownership of data and all of those things.
We're no longer looking for companies to just build tools that sell to other people. Go out there, build the technology, and then start a restaurant, manage and run the restaurant, and own the entire vertical tech stack. These new wave of businesses and tech entrepreneurs will absolutely crush it if they get into the restaurant industry. Welcome, Troy, to the podcast. We want to touch base on what you guys have been doing. You are running a multinational brand. Tell us a little bit more about the brand before we start, so that way we can set the stage for everybody. What is Pepper Lunch?
Pepper Lunch Restaurants is a 30-year-old brand. We just crossed our 31st anniversary, and we have 542 restaurants in 17, very soon to be 19 countries. We'll be in 21 countries, I believe, in the next 2 years. So growing pretty rapidly. Japanese fast casual hot plate concept. So we superheat an iron plate. You put raw protein rice and veg or protein pasta and veg on it. We have 6 different sauce categories to flavor it up. Experiential fast casual. You love to come in, sizzle your own plates, share with your friends and family, colleagues, whatnot. In the U.S., we have 85 plus stores under active development. We'll open at least 10 this year and probably double that number every year for the next 3 or 4 years till we're hitting about 50, 60 openings a year in 27 on. So fun, new, exciting brand to the U.S. and Canada. Although we've been here since 2016 officially, we're really in growth mode now and then just adding on countries and looking for world domination.
Wow, I can't imagine running a restaurant and then running a restaurant across 17 countries. Let's get into the tech chaos that comes with that. How the hell do you pull that off? And give us a lay of the land. Like, what keeps you up at night across all these 17 different countries?
Lack of visibility. This business was grown initially through the master franchise model. So every country has its own master, and they were required or put in charge of their own tech stack. So every country has its own tech stack. Now, the good thing is that we own about 130 of our own stores in 3 countries. And so we are trying to unify the tech stack there now over the last really only about a year. We've been on that journey, so we have a long way to go. And then our biggest franchisees are generally apt to adopt the processes that are working for us. But this is probably a 10-year transition window of getting every store in the world to operate on most of the same tech. Never get all of it in this model. All new franchise partners have to use the mandated stack today. But to give you an example, globally, we have 26 point of sales.
Wow, that's crazy. And you said a decade, and I'm already laughing. It's like a decade to transition and migrate everybody. That seems just brutal. To spend all that time, energy to put everybody on the same tech stack. Talk about the inefficiencies. Like, you said lack of visibility, but what does that actually mean to the bottom line? Like, why is that such a...
It means we have a lot of employees that essentially push paper, right? That they aggregate data manually. They have to go into these systems, either given to us from our franchisees from afar, right? Literally a spreadsheet being emailed, or go into our systems that we have access to or visibility in, pull the data, and then map it manually across all the different systems so we can get an aggregated visibility view or global view of what's going on in the business, right? How are sales and all the different metrics that we track along the way. And so that takes a lot of people, and it's a full-time job for quite a number of people to really gather and aggregate and create reporting and then create action steps from that. That goes to the lead, the stakeholders, the department heads, the leads, the executives. Executives have to make a decision on what they're seeing, and then we have to push that back out. And so that life cycle is really long and very tedious and not efficient, of course, and difficult to scale with. And so we're really, as quickly as we can, starting to implement tools and automations, AIs, to put us in a position to demanualize that and turn it into a more efficient and optimal process.
Got you. And actually, you and I touched base, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about AI stuff and that you replaced some other tools and companies, etc., with some AI tools. What are you actually using, and what is AI doing for you right now today?
Yeah, quite a few things. So we developed our own AI MarTech engine, so marketing technology platform that is inside of another platform that we helped advise on getting built, but kind of started at Pepper Lunch and then it went off on its own. But we have not written a piece of copy, and very soon we will not have produced a piece of content, creative that AI hasn't touched or done completely. So Pepper Lunch has not published anything publicly in over a year that wasn't fully written by AI. We review it, we might touch a word here or there, but basically it's all automated. And now going into our sales and operations system, we kind of gave birth to a company called Franchise Systems AI, in that we found a need, looked for a solution, couldn't find the adequate solutions on the market, and one of our, we were able to engage with this group and say, hey, we need this. Can you build this for us? And as they were beginning the process to map it and build it for us, they realized, well, if Pepper Lunch needs it, everybody needs it. So they productized it. And so we were very lucky to be near field at the impetus of this new technology and brand company called Franchise Systems AI to provide an all-in-one operations platform for the franchise business, from marketing and sales, pipeline management, legal, all the way to your onboarding of franchisees, store location, launching and managing. So they're still building, but we've been the alpha test subject, been able to be the alpha customer since day one. They have about 9 other brands on it as betas, so really robust platform coming to fruition, and it is fully agentic AI engine built from the ground up, and so a ton of stuff is automated and processes are automated through AI within that platform already.
Wait a second, you're a 500 unit brand and you use the words all in one? Yeah. How does that come about?
If you go back and listen to a bunch of podcasts for like a year ago to 2-3 years ago, I've been saying for a long time, consolidation of tech is going to happen. We're starting to see the early days of it now. There are a ton of single-use, really deep, well-done products that don't need to be standalone businesses. So I think we're going to see absorption and consolidation, acquisition start to ramp up here over the next 2 to 3 years. But we're also seeing native built platforms really viewing themselves as platforms, not products, right? And so I think we're going to see more things doing more things better, more deep in that way. So I think people are thinking a little more holistically, and I think through consolidation and partnerships and joint ventures, you're going to see a lot more of these blurred lines between clear, definitive product companies.
I agree 1,000%. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer. Why would you want? You've been on record that you said you have 19 vendors that you're juggling. Like, I would shut the business down and go home and be like, or I would turn myself into a vendor management company and get out of this business, get into the other one. And I had to make that decision in 2016, 15, 16. I had to figure out what am I going to do and how am I going to manage the company running 8-9 different tools. And I caught myself, like, we had this accounting person that I always use her as an example because she cost us $10,000 and I did not fire her because the alternative to that was, all right, train the next person. It's going to take them 6 months of training. Go over there for CRM, go over here for accounting, there for payments, here for the, it's like, oh my God, stop the chaos. And it's like, I need some sort of an all-in-one tool that can just do everything in one platform. And I don't care. And I had to come to terms with it. It's like, look, I only care about the, I don't want the whole 100%. I don't want the best in breed that kind of comes in one thing. I want that 80-20 rule, right? Yeah. I want the functionality that I use day in, day out, and then everything else, I'll figure it out. I'll manually do it. And we built a platform off of that, which is actually what powers Milagro today. But I just don't understand how some of these guys are making this decision and they're going into like these super deep best in breed tools and they're spending a premium, and guess what happens? They're still using 20% of the functionality.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's totally true, and that's why I think we're going to see more of this consolidation. I mean, we have the same problem, right? What franchisee has onboarded which of those 19 platforms? Did they do it in time to be, one stacks on top of another, one relying on another, and are they ready for store opening or, adoption and implementation has always been the biggest pain point in a franchisor-franchisee relationship when it comes to technology. So I totally agree, and I think it's coming, and we're certainly seeing it with this platform, Franchise Systems. We're seeing it with some of our other vendors starting to really think about and build out more adjacent tools and features within their platforms that will take some of the competitors off the table for sure.
Agreed. And I think more of these partnerships has got to be like deeper integrated partnerships, not just like, hey, you're a partner of mine, I'm a partner of yours, and we talk once a year. It has to like work together. I was at RLC and I ran into a CTO and he's just walking and talking back and forth. And I'm like, what is happening? Is like, well, the stores are about to open and we've got, a few hundred stores, and a change was made by one company and it's going to take the whole KDS down across all stores. Why? Because, and then like a couple hours later, the root cause was, well, one guy made a time difference change.
Yep.
Instead of military, it's AM, PM time.
We've seen a point of sale account manager get a phone call by a franchisee. He goes in the back end and makes a holistic change just like that. Something very simple, time change or a price change. It changed across the entire system. Every point of sale, every Grubber kiosk, every digital menu board changed because this one guy, one customer service agent, made a small, it's like, it took us like 8 hours on the phone to figure out that that's what happened.
Right? Yeah, and you just can't do that anymore, right? One guy makes an update, and irrespective of the other companies, and the whole thing's down, and guess who suffers? You as a restaurateur in the middle. So to me, that all-in-one solution, and I've always was saying, hey, all-in-one, you got to go that direction, but I've changed my mindset a little bit, and I'm like, look, if you're less than 25 units, like, don't even question it. All-in-one, buy the all-in-one tool, use it. That's going to be a perfect fit. Once you cross 25 locations, if you need specific feature sets, then go to an all-in-one tool, and then go to the best-in-breed tool and bring them in order to fill that gap.
But 80/20. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, and when we built, that's exactly what I did. Is I was already using some of the best tools in the industry, and I'm like, well, I don't need all this. I just need this. This is what I use every day, and I told my team, go build me this. And then that's exactly what we did day in, day out. And then now today we have an all-in-one platform that is just fantastic. It saves me so many hours and so much stress, headache, because from the beginning to the end, the customer journey is within this platform, like everything. Right. So let's get into like build versus buy. That's a great thing. You've sponsored a company essentially to build a tool for you, which is an amazing way to start a company. You go to somebody like you and you're like, hey, what are your pain points? Let me go build a solution for it. And then you take that solution, you productize it, and sell it to everybody else. Because back to your point, if you have that problem, chances are others have the same problem. So what are your thoughts on, should the restaurants start building their own technology or should they buy the technology?
Yeah, I mean, that's a strong thesis argument. I just got off a call with a group that, they're only at 30-some units, and they'll have 50 here soon, and they've got about 80 or so more coming in the pipeline. So, they're on their way to over 150 units. And their thesis was they were going to build certain things that they could control and had the capability of doing, and then do best-in-class, best-in-breed partnerships with some of those things that they're just not going to be able to go build. And maybe that's the 80-20 rule. Maybe in their case it's 50-50, 60-40. But, I tussled with this early on when I took over at Pepper Lunch. The issue is time, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you have the money, it's time. And so, whether it's a point of sale plus, or you buy a point of sale and you build on top of, which a lot of people do. I've seen these small, mid-size emerging brands, really several of them now that I'm aware of off the top of my head, that have just decided to build. But if they have that capacity, capability, they go out and get those people and they have those resources and they're willing to wait out the time, then I suppose it makes a lot of sense in the long term. The long play here is scalability and ownership of data and ownership of sort of workflow, all of those things. I didn't have that luxury of time at Pepper Lunch. I was coming in, we were hitting the ground running. We needed to grow. The business was growing organically. We needed to accelerate that growth. And so I just didn't feel like I had 2 to 3 years, even if I had the $2 to $3 million to invest at, an outsourced dev agency to do it for us. And I saw companies abandoning their self-built stuff too because of cost of ownership, cost of maintenance, cost of, adapting and updating and, all these new things coming to the table they were going to have to work with. So it didn't make sense for me. But when I see those who have done it and done it well, I'm very impressed by it. But I don't know that that makes sense for the majority of businesses, brands, particularly in the restaurant industry. Some of these groups are inherently tech-driven. Some of these restaurant brands were founded by tech founders who had exits and have rolled their cash outs into this company, right? And so I think if it's inherent to their DNA, it makes more sense. I think you can go out and get the right people and put them together. But you got to be able to take that ride and realize there's, again, cost of ownership after development and implementation too.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea, but building. So actually, funny story. We started building the first platform, and I think we outsourced it. We gave it to a company. We thought they were going to do a great job. First 3 failed. The fourth one failed. And then on the 5th attempt, the fourth one came close. The 5th one, I went to him and I was like, look, this is it. I'm not paying until I get this results back and then I'll pay. But boy, was it such a nightmare. For the first 2-3 years, it was just nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. So outsourcing it was just the absolute wrong decision because those companies had other companies that they were responsible for those projects. They weren't paying full attention to this. It was just a cluster. So in 2019, we started building another platform for our phone system. And the question I always ask my CTO is, I don't want to be the guy responsible for that code base. And finally, we were like, you know what? Worst case scenario, we'll open source it. It's like, well, we're going to pour all that technology in. We're going to figure this out, something that nobody else has figured out, and open source it. That doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, worst case, that's what we're going to have to do because I just did not want to be responsible for yet another source code, writing millions of lines of code to build a platform that we have built. It is just such a catastrophic failure if you don't manage that effectively. And then here we are, 5 years later, we're on version 3. We've rebuilt it 3 times. We have rebuilt the freaking thing 3 times because things have changed. Technology keeps changing and you're just going to have to keep adapting. And then now we're going to have to rewrite again, this time with AI, right? Because the old way of doing things may not adapt to some of these changes. So building it is just such a catastrophic nightmare. But if you can do that and if you can pull that off, I think it'll be amazing. In fact, I was watching a video of Y Combinator. I don't know if you're familiar. These guys have funded a lot of startups, tech startups, a lot of unicorns. Talk about DoorDash, talk about, a ton of these guys have been funded through these YC programs. And when they put money in, that company generally, it doesn't always succeed, but when it does succeed, it hits it really big. One of the founding members was saying, we're no longer looking for companies to just build tools that sell to other people, like i.e., don't build a POS company and go out there and sell it to the restaurateurs. Go out there, build the technology, and then start a restaurant, manage and run the restaurant, and own the entire vertical tech stack. So I think these new wave of businesses and tech entrepreneurs will absolutely crush it if they get into the restaurant industry.
Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely. It's still going to be a rarity, though, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be tough. Restaurants are a lot tougher, but they were given an example of law firms. It's like, hey, you could easily do a law firm by owning the whole tech stack from beginning to end, acquisition, retention, and then all the back-end services could easily be done in a vertically integrated SaaS company. But
Sure. Sure.
all right, loyalty and gamification. What's your belief on loyalty? Does loyalty exist in restaurants? I tend to say no, it doesn't, but I'm curious to get your take on that.
It's a lot less. It's a lot smaller than people think, right? So, on the decision tree of the consumer, it's usually 10 out of 10 list of what drives them into the store. It's a marketing connection point that is really poorly used, if used at all, in any way. And those that use it really, really well, they can measure the lift, and the lift is not insignificant. But it's kind of that 80-20 rule. 80% of your business from 20% of your customers doesn't always translate in restaurants. You're not really getting 80% of your business from 20% of your customers anymore, because there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of competition for the wallet. And I think people are more fickle because of convenience. We've just made it more convenient, right? So you can get it anybody's food a lot of different ways. You can discover new brands and cuisines and things that way. So it's a valuable tool. I think it's way overvalued by a lot of people in this industry.
Why do you think that is?
Old forms of marketing, CPM management, like metrics that used to matter. Do they really matter? And are they truly measurable tools that translate to sales? Look, I'm just sort of anti-traditional loyalty. I am all about using loyalty as a communication device, as a tool to build community, gain intelligence about individual customers, and translate that data that you have into interesting, creative, actionable interactions at the end of the day. And I just don't think very many people do it very well or very often. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space.
Is there a brand that you think is crushing it on loyalty?
Crushing, it's an awfully strong word. No.
Well, just doing an okay job on loyalty.
Yeah, I think it's funny with loyalty, you kind of have to be a first user to kind of evaluate that. So I'm a first user of Chick-fil-A and other brands. I don't want to shit on anybody or bash anybody, but the reality is not super really. I mean, Chick-fil-A and Starbucks kind of haven't really adapted to modernizing the communication. There's some cute things that happen, but it's just not, it doesn't feel personal. It doesn't feel intentional to me at the right time with the right offer or the right opportunity. Chick-fil-A played a little bit with gamification. I don't know how that went. We haven't really seen any sort of metrics that have come out of that. But I think there's a lot of people like us working on interesting new things. And I think there's companies out there that are focused on that, like Sparkfly. We're partnering with Sparkfly. And I think, but basically at the end of the day, Sparkfly is a custom dev shop, right? That has built some foundational tools and foundational frameworks that they can build on top of and customize and semi-customize activations and assets. But I think it's coming. I think people are realizing that we've got to get a little more creative, a little bit more personalized. And I think access to data is getting better. I think utilization and visualization of data is starting to get better. It's just slow. In our industry, it's just slow. It could be another 3 to 5 years before it really gets exciting and we see some real big innovations in that space, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I was writing an article this morning for my newsletter, and the topic was around the whole thing of it's just so, the restaurant industry has always been so behind the curve. And a lot of that I attributed to the gorillas in the industry like Aloha and these guys that just kind of held the innovation back by not allowing people to enter this space and innovate on top of their platform. I think the next evolution has to be like an Apple play, where you build an iPhone, you build a Play Store, and you let anyone and everyone integrate into that platform, and you become the foundational model. Everybody else can easily and quickly build on top of that, and allows for a crazy amount of innovation in this space by just anybody who thinks they can execute, And then at that stage, I think the marginal cost of these software stuff is going to go to zero, and it's just going to be acquisition cost? Who's going to be able to do a better job at acquiring customers and then retaining them? And it'll be a retention play, but we'll see how that plays out. On a Starbucks level, I'm surprised. Like, I don't join any loyalty. I'm only a loyalty member on two things. One was or is probably Jersey Mike still. I don't know if it's active. I haven't been there for a while. But the other one was Starbucks, because the manager just kept pushing me. It's like, hey, you're coming in anyway. You downloaded, you have your own cup, because I take my own. And it's like, you get 25 points every 4 visits. You get a free cup of coffee. I'm like, yeah, who cares about $3, right? But then I downloaded it, and surprisingly, like zero. No communications. I left the country for 6 weeks, where I used to go every single day, Monday through Friday, every morning.
They don't notice.
They
do.
not.
They do. The platform notices. They just haven't built the simplest if this then. Well, wait a minute. We're losing a guy. Is he now at Dutch Bros? Is he at Seven Brews? Where did he go?
Yeah. No, where the hell did he go? Yeah.
By the way,
agreed.
You went on vacation, you can't necessarily. You always use the app depending on the country you go to. They would have known that you went to Brazil, or they would have known I went to Singapore. I went to Starbucks in Singapore because I wanted to get the office coffee and get some souvenirs, right? But
yeah,
can't use the app.
I think it's all the basics. The more I'm digging in, the more I talk to restaurateurs, they're not even doing the basics, and they're overcomplicating it. And now it's gotten to a point where they don't believe that the basics work. They're always looking for a complicated solution, you know? It's like, hey, it's not that complicated. It's not rocket science.
Just say thank you.
Yeah.
Send a little video that's pre-recorded, and you have maybe 5 of them recorded, and that video is just specifically to the different scenarios that you might want to acknowledge, and that video auto sends through the platform, through the app, to say, hey, we really appreciate you coming by today. We hope you had a great experience. Want to give us some feedback?
Yeah. Yes or no. Worst case is they'll ignore it, but best case is they come back or they engage with it, etc. So I think the foundational level first-time visitors, right? 70% of customers don't come back. Like if you're a restaurateur and you hear that number and you just it just goes over the head, it's like, no, stop. 70% do not come back. That is outrageous. Like, I don't even know how the industry is where it is, just losing 70%. But I guess it just keeps in a big rotation. But anyway, that is crazy. First-time visitors, feedback every time you go in. If you want to do you don't even need to do this with loyalty. But if they get to whatever, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in spend, just give them a free pair of shoes. Give them some cool mugs or something, Yeah. And airline industry and hotels have figured that out. You don't have to figure it out. All you got to do is model it exactly like they have, because it works.
Yep. Yeah, and look, back to the point of recognition and acknowledgement, we just ran not even a pilot. We launched a feature on our in-store kiosks, partnering with Momo's. We're able to capture first name, last name, phone number, and then that's just dine-in kiosk. Could be dine or takeout at kiosk, but it's first party. I'm ordering digitally on your physical platform inside your store. In the first 10 days, we got 3,217 people initiated an order, about 320 people a day on average, and 3,000 of them opted in. They said, yes, here's my phone number. I opt in, right? Here's the better part. In the 10-day initial period, 112 of those 3,000 people came back in the store and used a physical kiosk to place another order. 13 of them came back 3 or more times in 10 days. We have it connected to our point of sale system. We now know what they ordered. So now I can tell the difference between somebody who comes once in 10 days, twice in 10 days, or 3 or more times in 10 days. And I can parse out day part, what they ordered, how many people were with them. I can start to understand these people. And it's attached to their name and phone number. So now I can directly reach out and say, hey, thanks so much. Contextualize the communication. Give them an offer. Make that offer specific to the types of scenarios that they're choosing to come to us. Don't send somebody a offer that 4 people have to be present if they only ever come one person at a time, right?
Yeah.
Or if they come on Friday nights, they always come on Wednesday by themselves, and Friday nights with a group. Let's talk to them differently about those day parts and those experiences they're having. So it's just about contextualization. This is very early on for us, but we are making sure that it's in-store, takeout, third party, first party, all digital forms, all physical forms. We have a bead on what these people are doing, and we have some sense of who they are and what they do, so we can start to build much more interesting interactions like you talked about.
I agree. I say, take it a step further. Why opt? By default, you opt in. If you don't like to hear from us, opt out.
So it is. Yeah, I mean, you have to put your phone number. You're on it. You have to put no thanks. It is a little opt out, so to speak, in the corner. Yeah, they're automatically opted in, but they do have to give us their phone number.
Yeah, exactly. Because they come to the brand, and there's a reason they came in to try it. Now, your job as a restaurateur is try to figure out. Well, not you, but I guess your tech company plus you, right?
Get them back.
How do you get them back? That's the name of the game. Period. Stop. Get them back in. And actually, we did a ton of stuff on our customer data platform. And first-time visitors, literally, we've looked at so many customers, and every single time, the first drop-off is the steepest, right? Yeah. You lose 70%, then it goes down to 30% come back, then 20% come back, 10% come back, 5% come back. But on a fourth visit, it goes back up to double digits. So at that phase, it appears like the customer has built a behavior where now they're coming back in more regularly. So if you could just change the messaging, the personalization, and be a little bit more heavy on communication up front, I think that goes a long way. And personalization for sure. You can't send somebody, if you text all of them and say, hey, kids eat free, it's I don't have kids. Unsubscribe.
Right.
Move on, right? 100%. It's hey, we have the best steak. This is going to be an amazing thing. We're going to give you a free burger sandwich. Well, I'm vegetarian. Stop wasting my time. Boom, unsubscribe,
Look,
right?
We're building a native app right now. It'll be out in about 5 months. But one of the key features of that is that when you launch the app, when you download the app, you go through sort of a discovery phase of information sharing. And one of it is for you, the consumer. Hey, if you tell us about your dietary restrictions and or preferences, we'll only show you what fits that. So now you don't have to search through as many menu items. We're only going to give you promotions that fit that. And by the way, as we learn, we have this huge cohort that happens to come to Pepper Lunch that don't eat dairy, whatever it is. We maybe need to think about the evolution of our menu, and maybe cheese is an option, not automatically. So how many people are taking cheese? Let's look at our orders. How many people are taking cheese off of the dishes? They love the kimchi beef. They love the kimchi chicken pepper rice, but they're taking cheese off because they don't want cheese, or they're adding cheese. And we have to learn from those behaviors. And so in this app, I love it because it's personalized from day one. If you tell us what you want and don't want, we'll show you what you want, and we won't show you what you don't want, so we can make this more streamlined and easier for you and declutter your interaction. Super simple, but really pivotal. Not many people do that.